Hi everyone, today we're going to be starting a new series here with me, Mac, called Draft of the Day. So I'm going to be looking at just a couple of key drafts. I'm going to try and shorten down the length of a lot of the videos I'm putting up because they're super long, and I don't blame anyone for not watching till the end. So what I'm going to do is go through the draft, and then we're going to talk about whether I like the draft, if it's good or bad, and we're going to go through the implications and then look at just a short clip of the footage from the game to see kind of how the draft has affected how the game has played out and maybe what should have been done better. Okay, so first off, we're going to look at the first game of the semi-finals between EDG and Team WE. Okay, so let's jump straight into it. The bans on blue side, honestly, all of these, like Shen is probably the most banned champion in like all regions. Well, not probably, he is the most banned champion in all regions at the moment. Karma, I think, is second or third for pick/ban, maybe after Sivir. And Talia also considered first pick worthy. This is important, the fact that these are all kind of first pick worthy bans for a reason that we'll get to later. Team WE, when Shen is out, you often ban Gangplank because you don't want to get they don't actually see the Shen ban there, so I'm talking out of my arse there. Let's look at the red side bans. I actually haven't considered these very much. Again, Vladimir, you just don't want to get Vladimir first picked on you, especially not when Sivir is open. Gangplank also just considered to be a super powerful pick, and Kog'Maw is just a target at deft. Okay, so from the bans, there's actually not that much. Often Shen is a retort to the Gangplank pick as well, because generally speaking, when you pick Shen, the counter is Gangplank. So if they ban out the counter, you then ban out the non-counter, right? The original champion, as it were. Vladimir just considered super strong, like I said, and Kog'Maw target. Okay, so let's jump straight into the actual picks now. First pick, this is important as well, on blue side for Rek'Sai, for EDG is Rek'Sai, okay? This is something that ClearLove absolutely loves, and while a lot of teams consider Gragas to be one of the stronger picks, i.e. stronger than Rek'Sai at the moment, especially in Korea, you're seeing Gragas often take like this kind of S-tier position. I really like Rek'Sai on blue side. Pretty much just for one main reason, it's because she doesn't need blue buff, and she doesn't, even if she starts on that side of the map, you don't have to take blue buff. A lot of Rek'Sais at the moment are going for Gromp into Wolves, or even just Wolves into Wraith start, or Raptor start, then Red, and then you get early Scuttle Crab control, and that's really important in this meta because of the bottom lane control being so important, because of the way teams are generally speaking playing towards the bottom side in the first 5 minutes so that you can get control of the bottom side in order to be able to swap the map around to take advantage of that first brick gold after 5 minutes. Because if you can make a swap up to the top lane with your duo lane and 4-man the tower down, you get an extra 400 gold on top of the tower gold, which is like 650, I believe, or maybe just 600 gold if you give it to one person. So you can give your AD carry or your top laner, depending on which you want to snowball, 650 gold. So Rek'Sai on blue side, really nice just because of the early game control and the variability you get and the ability to control the bottom side of the map quicker, and also hand off a blue buff to your mid laner early, which is really nice. But this is something that both EDG and ClearLove value really highly. Good first pick, nothing wrong with that. Okay, so did I just get a message? I don't know if you guys heard that. Sorry if you did. So the retort from WE. Alistar and Gragas. Okay, so this, just for one simple reason, I don't like this rotation. Okay, Alistar is fine. Okay, China really values Alistar. Not many other regions do, but it's a very dive intensive and a very high kill environment region as a whole. We've talked about this before, but so they value Alistar. Okay, fine. The Gragas is the bit that I don't like. Why? Because Gragas, so EDG have already shown their jungler. So you get Gragas. If you want Gragas here as Team W, you 100% get it, because they are not going to pick Gragas and Rek'Sai. The days of Gragas top flex are over for pretty much everyone, I'm 99% sure. So right here, with all the AD carries open, you get your choice of AD carry. They don't want to pick Sivir and Alistar, I imagine, because they don't want to reveal their entire bot lane, but it's such a safe bot lane, and it plays such a crucial part in this draft later on, that I think it's worth doing. Or just don't pick the Alistar, pick something else instead. Alistar Sivir, nothing wrong with that. Great for team fights, pretty hard to kill in the lane. Anything with Sivir is a safe lane, right? Sivir can almost always go even in lane, so I think Sivir here will be the right pick, and that's again important. Later on into the draft, you'll see why. The return from EDG then is Sivir. Okay, fine. Sivir, like we just said, super strong. Also, Alistar doesn't really have a strong lane phase. Sivir into Alistar is kind of annoying because you can't spell shield his WQ combo, but it doesn't matter. Sivir wins all lanes. She doesn't win all lanes. She goes even in all lanes unless you screw up. She just perma pushes. No problem with that. Gnar at the moment, we're seeing super high priority on this champion, mostly just because it kind of counters everything. The only real decent matchup into it we've seen so far is Kennen, which is supposed to be a counter pick. We don't have enough data on that so far, but teams are picking it into it as a counter pick, and it has worked in a couple of scenarios. And Echo, and that matchup can go either way. So it's super safe. Now it gives you good split push pressure, good team fight. He's kind of just a jack of all trades, and so is Echo. So you trade top laners there, but most people are preferring Gnar in this meta because he has better matchups into melee champions. Okay. So the retort from WE, right? Since Sivir has been taken off the board by EDG, your tier list now comes down to Ashe, Jhin, Lucian, who's not really seen as very good, and Ezreal, who's sometimes played. He is one of Mystic's more played champions here. But they decided to go with the Ashe. And again, this is not great because Tahm Kench is still up. Tahm Kench can be paired with Sivir to make the safest lane ever that always has push priority, which is really important, as we talked about in bot lane, in bot lane at the moment in the current meta, to have bot lane priority to be able to rotate, which we'll talk about some more later. We'll talk about bot lane priority and rotating and pushing a lot in this video. By the way, this video is mostly on the theme, should have said this earlier, of having pressure in terms of the minion waves, not in your drafts, not in terms of kill pressure, because as a lane, Ashe Alistar, loads of kill pressure, just not onto Tahm Kench Sivir. So if you get Sivir here and Tahm Kench is still up, Tahm Kench super high priority pick in a lot of regions, amazing into almost all melee supports. Another reason why the Alistar first pick is kind of questionable, because Tahm Kench just beats him straight up. Then that's another reason why the Ashe is bad, because Tahm Kench obviously with the Devour counters Ashe pretty hard. Okay, so EDG does the logical thing and just takes Tahm Kench here, right? They also take Lissandra. Lissandra as a blind pick, I'm not 100% too fond of. Karma being out, Vladimir being out, Talia being out, a lot of your kind of blind pick options are down. Malzahar is still up, but he's kind of fallen out of favour, and I don't think he fits that well into this team comp. What this team comp is really good at is pressuring, rotating around the map with Tahm Kench and Lissandra double TP and the Rek'Sai ulti and just diving towers. Okay, so for that, it fits really nicely into this team comp. This team comp wants to hit Sivir ulti, Tahm Kench someone in, dive onto your tower, blow them up, win, or flank behind you doing the exact same thing with the double teleports. Okay, so that's fine. Now the last pick from WE is the big one that's really bad. Before this, they hover over Syndra. Would have been okay with that. Would have been fine with Syndra. You get extra pick. You have a nice 4-man pick unit, and the Gnar Echo can snowball either way. But they go with Kassadin, and this pick sucks for a number of reasons, right? So, first of all, you can already see the bot lane. The bot lane is a losing matchup in terms of push. It's a winning matchup in terms of pressure, in terms of kill pressure, sorry, because the Ashe arrow, but you can't kill Tahm or Sivir because they have Spell Shield and they have Devour. So it's not even normally it would be a winning matchup into most lanes, but here it's not a winning matchup in terms of kill pressure. You lose in push because Tahm beats Alistar and Sivir pushes all the time. Okay. You also lose in terms of bot lane pressure because Rek'Sai. Rek'Sai's level 1 to 6 is better than Gragas's. Okay, so you're going to lose the early game in the bottom lane on this. You already know this, and you decide to lock in a Kassadin. Kassadin always loses lane pressure. When you pick a Kassadin, what you want to do is basically turtle out the lane phase as much as possible and try and get to that mid to late game phase where you just come out and you start 1-3-1ing or team fighting and you start crushing people. Okay, so why is Kassadin so bad here? Because you now have lanes where one of your lanes, your top lane, is going even in terms of push. That lane can snowball either way. You then have a mid lane, which you are always going to lose in push. Lissandra will always push Kassadin, and there is no way Kassadin can do anything about the push, and all he wants to do is turtle. So if you want to have that ability to turtle, what you need is pressure in your other lanes. But you don't have it, and you know you don't have it, because you have Sivir Tahm into your Ashe and Alistar. So you're going to lose on that bottom side in the pressure all the time, and that makes it much more difficult for you to get to that late game point because they're going to pressure you so hard from the bottom lane and the mid lane. Like, you lose an entire side of the map. It doesn't matter what top lane's doing at this point. You just lose this side of the map, and you have to see this. And that means that you're going to lose towers early on, which ends up happening in this game. So what could have been better before we move into the clips while we're still looking at the draft? Basically, if you get Sivir, then you can pick Kassadin, right? Ashe does okay with Hurricane wave clear, and you have Echo and Gragas, which is nice for wave clear, but if you don't have a range support in usually Karma, honestly, she's probably the only range support that is still popular at this point. We might start seeing some Lulu eventually, but right now they only really have Gragas Barrel and Ashe for wave clear, and Ashe is, if you rush a Hurricane after your BF sword, that's fine, but it's no Sivir. Okay, you do not win in pressure in general. It's not enough to be able to get Kassadin out of this early game rut. So yeah, basically they lose this draft pretty hard. You get out pressured by the Rek'Sai. EDG gets a super safe top laner, which basically has no bad matchups at this point. You can't get out pressured globally by the Gangplank or Shen, so it doesn't matter. He's always going to be able to win that matchup. And then you allow your bottom lane to get counterpicked pretty hard by picking this Alistar early when Tarm is still up, and picking Ashe picking Ashe when Tarm is still up. So bad picks there. I think if the Sivir comes through earlier, then this draft looks a lot better from WE. So that's probably the mistake they could have rectified here. There's nothing wrong with taking Sivir in that first rotation along with Alistar, because it's a pretty hard lane to counter. Tarm, although he counters your support, Sivir always goes even, right? She always goes even in lane. She'll just be able to push out, and Alistar's pretty good at being able to just heal you up. And then you have Alistar Sivir for engage, which is great with the Kassadin, and you also have really nice wave clear to be able to hold in your 1-3-1. More so than with your Ashe. Okay, so done talking about the draft and how it could have been better. Let's move on to the actual replay so you can see what happens in-game when you get punished for drafting this type of low wave clear, low pressure comp. Okay, so we are now 12 minutes into the game. There have been some early kills on the board, but these aren't really what I want to focus here. The kills are on some pretty important members, and the fact that Lissandra has early Abyssal Scepter is obviously important here, but I think this still would have happened without the kills going over in the first place, and I think it was still a part of why the kills went over in the first place. But what we're talking about here is lane pressure, and as I mentioned, how important the first tower is in this metagame right now. I think this is by far the most important point. As we start rolling the clip, you'll notice that there's a lot of deep vision already into WE's bottom side jungle, and that's just because you have the ability to push both of these lanes into the mid lane and the bottom lane, and then Clearlove, who loves to do this on Rek'Sai, and who, as we talked about, is stronger in the earlier levels than a Gragas because he rushes Tiamat, is able to invade like this, take away his camps, put down deep vision, and your lanes can push safely. I think he even gets the... Oh no, does Condi smite the wolf there? Yeah, it looks like Condi smites the wolf. Okay, but you still are able to invade freely, and then this happens, right? So bot lane is already pushed up. Sorry, I wasted a bit too much time there. Bot lane pushes up, mid lane pushes up, the jungle is spotted, he gets chunked out by Clearlove because all of the pressure is not being stopped by anyone on this side of the map. They can't. Kassadin can't push out, Sivir Alistar can't push out, they can't make an engage onto the bot lane, they can't gank the bot lane, they just try to gank the bot lane. Before the clip rolls, that's why Ashe Arrow is currently down, and just gets Sivir spell shielded, and okay, bye. So they have no ability to actually stop this pressure here. Normally, if you're getting pushed in the lanes, you bring your jungler over, and he's able to, force something to be able to push your lane out. But that doesn't even happen. The jungler just came bot right before we rolled this clip. Maybe I should have showed you that, actually. Maybe it would have been useful, but hindsight is 20/20, as they say. The jungler just went bot, and it still doesn't matter. Bot lane is still able to roam up with this Tahm Kench because they have the freedom to push whenever they want. The vision is all in their favor. There are pink wards because there's no ability for the bottom lane or middle lane from WE to come out of their lanes and fight to clear out these pink wards. So you get a free roam into the mid lane with Tahm Kench, and blam. You get Xie, you get the first blood mid tower, or the first brick gold for the mid tower, and suddenly you get like what? About 1.5k gold just off of that play, and from here honestly the game just snowballs. It's a pretty decided EDG close out from here, and there's not that much else to say on it. So hopefully that it was demonstrative enough and clear enough that you guys understand why it's important that you don't draft Kassadin in low wave clear comps. It's a really, really easy pitfall to fall into, but if you're planning on picking a Kassadin on red side, really think about having that civic. She's really important, okay? That's going to be all from me for today. I hope you enjoyed the shorter video. Please do leave some feedback if you did. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, ta-ta for now.